are listening to the Lose Weight for the Last Time podcast with me, Laura Conley, episode number 206. Okay, you guys, in this episode, we're going to talk all things Ozempic, all things GLP-1s, because if you're like me and you're like my clients and you're like my audience, you want to create your opinion. You want to understand. Everywhere I go, every time I go to a happy hour or meet up with a friend, people always want to know, like, what do I think about it? I think it's bad. I think it's good. And here's my stance, you guys. I think it's neither bad or good. I think it's just a tool. And so in this episode, I think it'll bring some clarity to the issue, the hot topic, the elephant in the room that is Ozempic, because I feel like over the past year, it's kind of gotten a lot of shade. It's like become a little taboo. It's almost even stigmatized. And so I've been going down the rabbit hole listening to all kinds of podcasts, reading books. I just finished Magic Pill by Johann Hari, which was so good. If you guys want, I can do a deep dive and kind of summarize his points, which were amazing. But this episode is going to be short and sweet, and I'll just give you my thoughts and opinions on everything I've been researching so that you can find a little bit more clarity around what you might think about it for yourself. And that's ultimately what I want to create around food, around bodies, is like space for you to research and figure out what it is that you believe that feels right for you. Okay? Deal? Deal. Okay. So let's just start from the top. My kind of formal, I'm not formal, but my informal/formal stance on it is that it's just a tool in the toolbox. Like, yeah, some people are saying it is a magic pill, but it's just one tool. And unless you pair this tool with all of the other tools that you learn inside the Yummy Mummy, like mindset tools, um, emotional intelligence tools, like having accountability, like learning to get your pleasure and your comfort and your de-stress and your rewards from things other than food. Like, I really want, if you do decide to take this medicine, I really want to encourage you to pair it with other tools, because then what happens when you stop taking it, if you stop taking it, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it is just one tool in the toolbox. And I do believe that it is a band-aid. I do not believe that this heals at the root. So what is the root? Root of what? What are you even talking about, Laura? So a lot of my clients come to me and they want to lose weight for the last time. And part of the root cause as to why they don't weigh what they want, why they haven't, is because there's some emotional eating going on. Emotional eating is not wrong or bad at all. But what is emotional eating? It is using food for what it is not for. I believe food is for fuel. So if hunger isn't the problem, food isn't the solution. So if you're using food to celebrate or to soothe or to comfort or to unwind or to give you pleasure or to give you a reward, right? I really want you to heal that. And I want you to give yourself true pleasure, true comfort. I want you to really learn how to take care of yourself, how to feel feelings like disappointment, guilt, shame, frustration, anger without using food or another substance to soothe, to comfort. I really want to encourage, like, I am so glad, you guys, that this was not available to me 10 years ago, because I might have taken it 10 years ago. I was so desperate in my dieting days. I could have seen myself really, truly taking it. And so I am so glad that I had to heal at the root, because the gifts I've gotten, because I had to heal at the root in order to weigh what I want and to heal my relationship with my body and with food. I had to go to the root. And because I went to the root, I have so many unexpected benefits. I know I can feel any feeling. I don't have to numb any feeling. I don't have to soothe any feeling. I don't have to escape or avoid any feeling with food or with alcohol or with Netflix or with scrolling. I can handle that. I have learned the skill of how to have my own back and feel any feeling because I had to do this work. I remember, and I've told you guys this before, I remember when I really lost weight for the last time, and I was kind of scared because I was like, "Oh, shoot, if I can lose weight for the last time, this thing that I thought was a thing that was unsolvable, then what can I do?" And that's actually really cool now because now I know I can create anything. I did the impossible. I did what I thought was the impossible, and so now I know I can do the impossible. I know that I can free a million moms, right? I know that I can build the business that I want to build and have fun doing it and enjoy it. It really taught me to love life and to soak it up and to enjoy every moment. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but like it literally breaks my heart thinking of somebody taking these drugs and not healing at the root. Now, pair these drugs with my methodology or a methodology similar to mine. I don't know any methodology out there that is really similar to mine. But my point here is pair it. If you're going to take it, pair it. I beg you to pair it with the real root work because otherwise you could transfer the soothing or the reward or the pleasure to something else that doesn't actually serve you. Again, like over scrolling, drinking, like whatever, fill in the blank habit. It's actually really interesting. There's a subset of people who are on these GLP-1s who are experiencing now chronic depression because food was such a source of pleasure and now they don't have it. So they're left feeling depressed. Isn't that so interesting? I find it fascinating. They will find something that fills that void. Now, what I would like to offer is that they come into the Yummy Mummy and I teach them that maybe it isn't even a void that needs to be filled in the first place. Or maybe it is. Maybe they do need comfort or pleasure. And can we get that in a way that is healthy, in a way that gives us a net positive now in the moment and a net positive later in life? So that is kind of like my firm stance. That is my firm stance. Like it is a band-aid. It is not a root solution. So if you want a band-aid, and a lot of us do just want a band-aid, and like band-aids are not bad or wrong, you guys. Like when we have a cut or an injury, we need a band-aid while our body is healing at the root. So like in my program, I teach a lot about band-aids. Like if you were somebody that was eating like a pint of ice cream every night, I will teach you to have a band-aid. I will teach you to have like a cacao bliss drink or an element tea drink instead. That's a band-aid while we're doing the root healing. That's how our bodies have to heal. I don't think band-aids are wrong or bad. Just really passionately feel that this should, and the really awesome practitioners out there that are prescribing these GLP-1s, the ones that I believe are in integrity, are really forcing their patients to show them that they are implementing the lifestyle changes. And of course, the drug companies recommend it too, but they're not going to follow up. They don't care. They want the scripts written, right? So it's one tool in the toolbox that can be really helpful for some people. So, like, why should you take it and why shouldn't you take it? Let's just explore some of the answers to these questions. Like, number one, obviously, this is not medical advice. Like, let me be loud and clear about that. But this is a decision that you should be making with your health care provider, right? And I don't even know if you're going to know if you should take it until you actually take it. Like, you're not gonna know the pros and cons. You're not gonna know if you get side effects. You're not gonna know if it works for you. There's some patients it doesn't work for. There's some patients that have unbearable side effects that they just cannot handle and they don't wanna live with. So, again, I'm not saying go take it recklessly just to see if you should be on it or not. I'm saying have a conversation with your healthcare practitioner. But I do wanna, like, kinda call out that, like, you also might not need it. Like, it might be a crutch for you when you really could solve this using the Yummy Mummy method. I get so many clients that will come in and they'll tell me on the consult, they'll be like, because it can be expensive depending on how you get it. But my point here is that I've had clients that have said, okay, it's either the Yummy Mummy experience, which is my 6-month program, or I go on Ozempic. Now, of course, I don't want it to be an either or. I want it to be an and of both. If you do go on Ozempic, pair it with my program. But also, what about just trying my program? I always am saying that, and I'm joking, I'm kind of teasing, but it's really not a joke, that if you do my program, you will actually balance your hunger hormones and you will actually begin to regulate them in such a way that it's almost as if you were taking Ozempic, right? Because when you heal your insulin and you become insulin sensitive, most Americans are insulin resistant. And that means that their hunger hormones like leptin and ghrelin are all out of whack. And so they're telling you, your body's telling you you're hungry. When you're not hungry, it's not telling you you're full when you actually have had enough. And so when you balance your hunger hormones in the way that I teach, it's kind of like you get a hit of the GLP-1 agonist. Like, it's so cool. So I would highly encourage you to do the Yummy Mummy method, and you might not even need or want this magic little pill. And is it magic? Is it not magic? I don't know. But it is a Band-Aid. For sure it is a Band-Aid. It is not healing at the root. Okay. So what else do we want to talk about? Things to consider. Do you want to be on it forever? So the studies show that when you come off of it, you gain weight back. And that makes me a little bit nervous, especially if you go on it and you lose weight quickly. Well, there's a couple things that make me nervous here. I don't want you to go on it and lose weight quickly. I want you to go on it and lose a pound, max 2 pounds a week. Because if you lose really like not more than 1.5 pounds, because if you lose quicker than that on Ozempic, on these drugs, you will lose lean muscle mass. And your lean muscle is your longevity organ. This is the organ that prevents so many, like, first of all, chronic disease, lifestyle disease, but also osteoporosis, also falling down. So it is really important as we go into perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause that we are maintaining our lean muscle mass and maybe even improving it. And when you're on these drugs, it's really, really hard to maintain it and to not lose it. So you can go on these drugs, but you got to be really, really strict with your weight training and with your protein intake, because otherwise you will for sure lose muscle, and you do not want to lose muscle. You will be so mad at your past self. Okay. So if you're going to do it right. And that's where the Ozempic butt and the Ozempic face has like kind of come from, is people that have lost it too fast. They lose the muscle, they get the saggy skin, their bodies don't have a chance to acclimate. Okay, I feel like another topic around this topic is the shame. It's kind of been kind of taboo, right? So there's two kind of buckets where the shame can live or the judgment can live. And I just want to be like, leave people alone, you guys. Like, if your friends want to take it, if your family members want to take it, like, leave them alone. Let them make their own choices. Now, if you are discussing it with them from a place of love and concern, fine. But there is like, this has come up inside our groups, is people are shaming other people. And it's like, why are we shaming them for maybe taking care of themselves? I just think it's so unfair. It's like, how come we're not shaming people for taking other kinds of medicine? It kind of feels like the like new mental illness, right? The FDA, and there's issues with the FDA, obviously, but considers obesity to be a disease. So how come we're allowed to treat other diseases with other drugs and we're not allowed to treat this disease with drugs? Again, this is a personal choice, but can we just MYOB? I hate shaming other people for their decisions when their decisions could be the best. Like, we just have no idea. We have no idea what other people are going through and what they're experiencing. So let's just like back off and make our own decisions. Now, one thing I think could be coming up with some of the judgment is that, like, okay, so say one of your besties or a friend in your group or your sister-in-law or whatever starts to take it. Sometimes what'll happen is feelings of jealousy will come up, or like you'll get extra judgy, but under the judgment is jealousy or envy. And what I want to call out is that that envy or jealousy might be there because there's part of you that wants to take it too. There's a little piece of you that's like, oh, I wish I could just have a magic pill. And I want you to like actually entertain that part of you and like let that part of you have a voice so you can actually see what's going on there. Because for a lot of us as humans, it can be a lot easier to blame and judge and than it can be to look at our own stuff. And there might be something there for you where it's actually a really good opportunity to be like, huh, like, why am I so judgy about that? Why am I so shamey about that? Like, or blamey about that or whatever. Like, what's going on for me? And for some people, I think that there's just a tiny part of them, or maybe a big part of them, that really wants to take the drugs, but won't. And then they're mad about it. And so then they're taking it out on their random friend who's on it. Right? Can you guys see that? So I just want to call that out because that's unnecessary and it's just not helpful. But it'd be really cool and actually good for you to see. And there's a lot of freedom and liberation on the other side of it too. Like if you can look at that and be like, oh yeah, there is a tiny part of me that wants to take the drug because I do want the easy way out because I do want a magic pill. And freaking Taryn has a magic pill and I'm jealous of her. So just offer that to yourself that like if you want to take it, you can take it. That's an option for you. Like you are allowed to want to take it and you're allowed to take it. I am not suggesting you take it. I'm just suggesting you have this conversation with yourself. Now, we kind of touched on this too. It's like, are you shaming yourself? Like maybe all of you wants to take it or a big part of you wants to try it. Can you let go of any shame that might be there? Like I know that what can come up here is like, I should be able to do this on my own. I should be able to figure this out on my own. What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. You're perfect. Sometimes we just like need a little bit of help. Again, this is not me saying you should take the drug, right? But it's like, how come when we like break our arms, like there's no shame in getting a cast or taking some painkillers, right? It's like, why are we shaming ourselves? If this is something that could really help us, especially if you feel like the pros could outweigh the cons, right? Sometimes taking these drugs will significantly reduce the risk of chronic disease, of cancers, of metabolic disorders. Like it is crazy. Some of the benefits for some of us are off the charts. And so let's like just look at this as if we're scientists, as if we're collecting data, as if we're studying what's going on here. And it just doesn't help to have the shame and the blame and the like, what's wrong with me? Literally nothing is wrong with you. It's again, like I was saying before, it's kind of like mental health. I feel like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there was tons of taboo. It was like so stigmatized to take antidepressants or anti-anxieties for anxiety or depression. Now that's a whole nother podcast. But my point is, what if some people are just born and their hunger hormones are already imbalanced because of what was happening in the womb? So it might not even be your fault. But again, like it doesn't even have to be your fault if you don't weigh what you want. Like seriously, you guys, what if it is our right and our responsibility to weigh what we want, but what if what if it's not our fault that we're where we are? And what if the reason we are where we are is because of the culture and society we've been brought up in and the programming and conditioning that we've gotten? And now that we're becoming aware of it, now we have choice. So cool. So if you're considering it, I want to encourage you to drop the shame and to love yourself in it. Okay. What other questions do you guys have about this? I feel like it's so multi-layered. It's so fascinating. I get so excited about talking about it. And I really do think we have a bigger problem in our culture. I really think we've got big food, even big pharma. These massive, like multi-billion dollar systems have huge influence in our behaviors, in our decisions. And so I do think we need change from a systems perspective and point of view, but there's some bleeding right now that needs to stop. And so that's why I want you to drop the shame and the judgment and just have that conversation with yourself. Again, like I've said, I have clients that stopped taking Ozempic and started my program because they noticed they were gaining weight. I've had clients that it was, ooh, I'm either going to try Ozempic or I'm going to try your program, tried my program, lost the weight. I've had clients that have come in and been on Ozempic and wanted to add in the lifestyle work, the accountability, the emotional intelligence, the mental game, get their hunger hormones balanced but through what they are eating versus through the medications they are taking. So I think we could talk about this for like hours and hours, but I just wanted to give you a couple thoughts to think. And again, overall, I think the most important thing is that this is just one tool in the toolbox. And if you want to weigh what you want to weigh, if you want to heal your relationship with food and your body, you want to love your body, if you want unbelievable, radiant, vital health, if you want longevity, you need so many more tools than just a pill or just an injection in your toolbox. So that is the ultimate. It is just a Band-Aid. It is a quick fix. And I want to encourage you to get the root work healed, because on the other side of that is you with the ability to be your full, confident, bright, beautiful self. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. Please reach out to me, you guys, if you have any questions, if you have follow up. I'm dying to know what you're thinking about this episode. And pretty pleased with the cherry on top, send this episode to a friend. I'm sure you've had conversations about the GLP-1s, about Ozempic with your friends. Send it along. And pretty pleased with the cherry on top, will you leave me a review, a rating? Will you give me a little love? I love you so much. And that would mean the absolute world to me. So right now, take 30 seconds, send it to your friend, leave a review. You can write like seriously 10 words, and bada bing, bada boom. I'll probably still be talking by the time you are done writing that review. By the time you're done sending it to a friend. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. I love you guys all so much. Have the absolute best week ever, and I'll talk to you next week. Ciao, ciao.